All right, guys, welcome back. This is Anthony.
This is Isaac.
Today we're going to talk to you guys about metabolism and how it works versus how people think it works. Some of the misconceptions with metabolism, and kind of look at how to coach up a bad metabolism, or I say bad with air quotes. I know you guys can't see me, but fix a metabolism, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we had one of our clients came in and they did an actual metabolic test. And for those of you guys who don't know, we actually test how you breathe, what you're burning at rest. Are you burning carbs? Are you burning fat? How much of it? One of the substrates you'll notice that I didn't mention was protein, because you don't burn protein at rest unless you have a protein wasting disorder, which most of you guys probably don't have. But this lady came in and her metabolism was 800 calories for the day, which of course sounds low. It is low, but what do you think caused that to be the lowest?
It's one of those where our body's adapting to what the stress we're putting it under, and I think in her case it's this kind of 6 days of exercise per week, and under eating a ton. Just because logically it does make sense to, I'm gonna eat a 1,000-calorie diet or an 800-calorie diet maybe, and work out to the point where I'm sweating and I'm burning calories, but the weight's not falling off. Or it does, and then it stops, and I'm starting to feel unhealthy, my hormones, now I can't lose this last 6% body fat, or I'm stuck at 40% body fat, right? It just depends on who the person is and where they're at. But I really think it's that her body's not getting what it needs to keep up with her daily demands, or the stress that she puts herself under. So because of that, the thyroid basically is just like the AC. It just turns it down. Right? The volume gets turned down. The speed gets the speed. That's exactly what our metabolism is. It's just the speed of which way it's going, and hers is slow right now.
So when you say what the body needs, like what does that mean? Like when someone hears my body needs a certain amount of calories,
yeah,
I want to lose weight. So what does it mean that my body needs more than what I'm taking in?
Yeah. So everybody gets that right. They get proteins, fats, carbs, and get on a meal plan. But the meal plan is usually about 1,200 calories, 1,000, whatever. We don't understand that we are burning calories the moment, even when we're asleep, we're burning calories every second of the day that we are alive. So that does not stop until we die. We're burning calories at night when we're sleeping, more so than we are when we're watching TV, right? Because there's more things happening there. But if we kind of take somebody's, and that's what the metabolic test does, they burn X amount of calories, now we know that they have to eat a certain amount to give them enough energy to do that, but then they still have this excess burn that they're still doing with exercise. It still allows them to lose weight. Most people assume, well, that doesn't make sense. Eating more, how is that going to help me lose weight? You're not eating more, you're eating what your body's always needed, or maybe not always, what currently needs, because it will adjust, right? The metabolism will speed up. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So more protein, more fats, it's essentially everything, because we don't want to just increase one thing, although the first thing we'd like to increase is protein. That's one of the first things we like. All right, let's put you on this 1,500 calorie diet, but we're going to make sure the protein need is met, right? For her instance, because it's so low, we can't put her on a 1,500 calorie diet right away. It's going to kind of gradually be maybe, and I don't even know where she's eating right now, how much she's eating, but let's say she's at 1,000, because I'm guessing it's about that. Then we need to start off with maybe 1,200 for the first week. The second week, bump it up to maybe 1,300, 1,400, and then when we can get to about 15, we rely on her 6 days of exercise to be that extra burn. So there's still the calories out is higher than the calories in, and there's a deficit. That helps me talk. There's no video, but using my hands and talking, right? But and I just think it's just simply this thing that's hard to wrap their mind around. Eating more food, because to them they should be losing the weight, this should be working, but it's not. Well, it's because it's not what your body needs. Your body needs to cover, and I call it the quota, right? We have to make enough money per month to cover all our bills, or else something's going to get taken away, or we can't do something, or we get evicted. But at the very least, you're not planning vacations, you're not spending extra money because you're trying to make it work. Your body's trying to make it work on this low-calorie diet that you're on. And even then, to make things worse, is it's a low-calorie diet that's higher in carbs or higher in fat, and not enough protein, and not enough fiber, and not enough vegetables, right? So it's even worse than just you're not eating enough. You're also not eating enough of the right things, and you're eating or drinking too many stimulants, too much sugar, too much processed food. And good thing the video's not on, because we have 2 energy drinks in front of us.
And just pile them up.
Yeah, but that's true though, because in our case, yeah, we have our energy drinks, but our movement's still high. We're moving around all day. We're getting our vegetables in. We're getting the amount of protein we're supposed to, calories we're supposed to. The water, my water is so like perfect now. The last few weeks now, so we can afford to do 2 stimulants a day, right? If that's what it is, 'cause I think that's what my average is. I'm doing 2 of these cans a day.
Yeah, I end up there too.
Yeah.
So, one thing you touched on is enough calories. We kept going over that in the metabolism, but the biggest thing that we hear is, okay, so I am older now, and I have to have no metabolism because I'm older.
Yeah.
And I know you said it, like our metabolism goes until the day we die, so no metabolism or not having enough energy are fallacies, but tell me about getting older. What does that do to your metabolism?
Technically, if we do nothing, it slows it down.
Yeah.
But we're not doing anything. Now, some people are, right? Some people work 8 to 10 hours a day, drive home, so they're sitting 8 to 10 hours a day, right? They're working, they're driving, get home and just sit on the couch more, or do the slight little chores that they have to do to keep their house looking right. Yeah. But then that's it. So the movement there's nothing for the body to say, oh, we got to keep this metabolism, we got to keep our engines revving. So it just starts to bottom out. Yeah. You said one other thing. Go back to your question, or
so when you look at our metabolism, we talked about the calories.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that we get is I'm older, so I don't burn as much. I have no metabolism.
That's right.
Or it's super slow.
Yeah. So the movement, and people, the older they get, they eat less protein. For whatever reason, maybe it's the habits of them never knowing the importance of I have to eat protein. The older we get, probably the more protein we should eat, and more so in ways that it's easily digestible. So maybe some more shakes or eggs, and just easily break down. What else would be work? Seafood.
Seafood is amazing.
Yogurt would work, right? Anything that's just easy to break down for the stomach needs to be increased, but that's just not what happens. All of a sudden, it's just more of the same thing, right? Now they're getting older. Now they have reason, oh, my body's breaking down, I have joint pain, it's the age. Yeah. But is it the age, or is it the fact that you were maybe sitting for 8 hours out of your day, 30 years that you worked, or 40 years that you worked, right? Or 20 years that you're working. So it's just, that's the position you're in all day. And then when you're trying to exercise or trying to move, it's like cobwebs and dust. And, yeah. But it's just like more of the same thing. They're not eating enough. They're not eating enough of the right things. And then they're doing too many bad things, not moving enough, too many stimulants, right? And kind of XYZ. Too much makeup. Yeah. Right? Little things like that.
Yeah. And that's something small. Yeah, the alcohol definitely.
That's a big one, right?
Because we look at our metabolism, and, at the beginning I said you can't burn protein. We look at our metabolism as carbs and fat, and we've talked about it a bunch of times, but that alcohol, it jacks up your system. And I mean, I think you put it the best. Tell people what alcohol does from a metabolic standpoint. So, like, what happens? I have a drink, then...
That's right. That's huge. The body, when alcohol is introduced, the body's like, oh my gosh, yes! Mm-hmm. It's like this substance that makes the body work so much, or it helps it run so much faster. Mm-hmm. So the body just kind of stops utilizing or burning carbs and fat and says, let's burn nothing but alcohol until that alcohol is out, because it's just this preferred sense. It also could be just the body's way of, let's get this out of the body, in the system, right? It's a toxin. Yeah. So then you're not burning any carbs and fat, but you're still eating, and when we're hungover or when we do have alcohol, let's just face it, our choices aren't the best, right? We're too tired to make ourselves a breakfast, so we just order some tacos, or we don't, right? Or something worse, right? Or we leftovers from the night before. Or while we're drinking, we're having bar food, or so, that's just, it's like a double whammy at that point. You always say something, and you actually have a client example that he was 60 when you started working with him, and he worked with him for 5 to 10 years or something. Yeah. Technically, based off of the logic of the metabolism slows down the older you get, his muscle actually was higher at the age of 7. I'm definitely just inserting words now, but
I had so based on the mindset of I'll use my age for the example, so we just leave him out of it for a second. But if you started working out at the age of 30, and and at the age of 40 you reevaluate your body, you're going to see that you've changed. with this guy, he started out at 60. He still actually works out with me, but at 60 we started working out together, and he was having a hard time like walking up the stairs, getting stronger. Now at 75. No,
I was gonna say it was over 10 years.
Yeah, he's been with me for 10 years.
I thought that's what the story
70.
was.
So over the course of 10 years, he's stronger than he was when he was in his 40s and 50s, because he had never done any real working out. He had run. He was a big marathoner, but now he does actual weightlifting. He doesn't have like a outstanding deadlift if you were to look at it just from the number standpoint. Yeah. But he can deadlift 135
pounds.
He can
bend over and pick things up.
Yeah, he can bend down and tie his shoes. He's got balance.
74 years old, deadlifting 135 pounds.
Yeah, the guy, I know it's on the leg press, he's up to about 300 pounds. He just hammers it out. So by default, when you look at the I'm older, I can't make changes, it's the concept of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But you can.
You absolutely can.
You can teach a dog to do anything. You can teach a person to do anything. As people get older, they fall into the safety net of, I can't because I'm older. Yeah. This was easier when I was younger.
It's definitely harder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's definitely harder, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard as hell. Like when you think about, and I give the kid example all the time. If I teach people how to tie their shoes, like the average adult's going to be able to tie their shoes and have a conversation. The average child may not even have the energy to tie their shoes. Like if we look at an actual baby, they wake up for like 15, 20 minutes at a time, they play, they go to sleep. Yeah. Adults expect their bodies to have the energy of athletes when they haven't used that energy in forever. It's like a gas tank. If you have a little...
it's the whole... Yeah. You think you're 20. You think you still have that energy when...
Yeah.
Let's face it, you don't.
Yeah. I was listening to a whole thing. I don't know if you saw the... Joe Rogan, Michaela Peterson podcast?
I haven't yet. Is it good?
No.
Oh, okay.
So she makes an argument on there that people don't have the energy to work out, and that's why people are fat, because they don't have the energy to work out. It has nothing to do with nutrition. Her thing is it's all nutrition, and people get fat because they eat poorly, which, okay, we can agree with that. But they don't become healthier or lose weight because they don't have the energy to work out. And it's literally, she uses her and her dad as the example, which is a bad example because they both have autoimmune issues and other things. But
that's different.
Yeah, and it's movement and the choice to make the movement. It's harder to choose to make a movement than it is to sit still.
Oh, absolutely. What? Habits. Yeah. Again, back to habits. When you are spending most of your life, you didn't play sports, or you did and you stopped at the age right when high school was over. And then you start your career, maybe it's 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 20 years of not moving, of this simple routine of wake up, go to work, come home, do my chores, do my thing, go to sleep, wake up, go to work. This cyclic routine, do my weekend thing, Monday comes, right? All of a sudden, there were no workouts. Maybe 5 walks in the park in the 20 years, right? Or 10 years, depending on who the person is.
Well, and you hit it. I think as much fun as it is to work with athletes, former athletes are one of the worst to work with because they have that standard of this is where I was 20 years ago when I was working out 5 days a week, 6 days a week, for 2 hours at a time. Yeah. So their having energy level is a lot lower because they used to get up and go for like a 3-mile run, go to school, then do a workout, then go for another run, then do some homework, and then maybe do another workout.
Yeah.
we don't have that because you haven't conditioned yourself to do it. So people that used to be there are worse than the people who walk in off the street and they're like, hey, I've never done this before in my life, because they feel better day over day.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who used to be there remember how they used to feel.
Used to be so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becomes frustrating because, yeah, it did. It used to be awesome. Yes, you used to be an all-star
People
track
in the military,
athlete.
that's a big one.
Yes.
Right? You did PT, you were in the military, and then you stopped, and you're like, oh, I got to do my PT test.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, remember these 3 miles? I think it's 2 miles that they have to run. But
Yeah.
regardless, when you're running, it's like, this used to be easy.
Mm-hmm. Because you did it every day.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, when you get out of like basic training or whatever your inaugural training is for whatever armed forces you're in, the time that you, with the amount of running that you've done, plyometric work that you've done, calisthenic work you've done, you're probably in the best shape that you've ever been in for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Then you turn around and you
no stimulants and no bad stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Yeah, you're forced
sunlight.
to sleep. You're outside all the time.
Sleep. You're right.
Yeah, and that's one thing people always overlook is sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm so out of shape. No, you just don't sleep, so it's your body has to work harder.
Exactly.
The harder your body works, the less happy you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you qualify as more important? And I say this loosely because at the end of the day, we know the exercise and nutrition are massively important. But if you're looking at sunlight, sleep, or a workout, now if you have to pick one, which would it be?
Sleep.
Okay.
It has to be sleep. With sunlight being second and a workout being third. I can see why Michaela thinks that it's all nutrition, but there's still some huge benefits to your brain and your hormones and longevity when you exercise versus just doing nutrition, right? There's definitely, obviously, there's going to be like benefits to doing one and one compared to the average American diet, but when you put both together, it's just going to prosper it even more, right? But so that's why I say workouts 3. Sleep, just because it's the ultimate reset. It sets you up for the next day. It affects your body's ability to burn fat, your balance, your decision-making skills, how well you can learn new skills is affected, and basically we're constantly learning new skills. Well, hopefully, I know I am. I'm trying to always like push the boundaries or do something different to like engage the mind. Maybe the average person doesn't do that now that I think about it, right? Because there's problems, but it's not an energy thing. It's either they maybe don't have the energy from nutrition, but even if they do their nutrition and everything, it's still a decision they have to make of, do I want to go do 45 minutes on the treadmill, or do I want to deal with this trainer making me do a workout that I'm like, I hate this. I'm not even sure if I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Keeps telling me to squeeze muscles. I don't even know if I'm squeezing or not.
I don't even have those.
Right? And it's like, how about I just sit on the couch and, go for a walk around the block? That's better than nothing, but one lap around the block is not the same as a 45-minute training session or you know what I mean, right? Something with effective, but it's so much easier.
Yeah.
It's comforting. It's at the house. It's the neighborhood I know. It's not this weird gym or brand new global massive gym or ugly gym that smells bad or a CrossFit box, right? Or just some new trainer that I'm messing with or training with. It's just like, it's so much easier, like you said, to say, my nutrition's good. Yeah,
my nutrition's good. I can just hang out. One of the things, the Tabata drills, we think about the length of time a workout has to be. So if you think about it, a lot of CrossFit workouts, if they're done right, they're high intensity, last 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes, you're absolutely right.
People have this...
Now, if you had a warm-up, like they always do, then they're there.
Yeah, so you're there for a full hour, but
you're only working 20 minutes.
And that's where people get it wrong, because any amount of movement is better than no movement. So if you're on the couch and you go for a walk around the block, awesome, check the box, you did it.
Perfect, yeah.
But let's say you don't have the energy to go for a walk. And this was one of my clients. This was actually a true story. This guy was 50, I want to say he was 50 when all his health problems started. He was 50 years old, 300 pounds. He had 2 kids, and he was like, he was walking on, I think it was a soccer field, to go see his son play. And he was like walking halfway across the field. He was with his wife, and he starts like holding his chest, and his wife's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "I can't catch my breath." Thought he was having a heart attack. thankfully, he got with a good doctor. The doctor was like, hey, you got some jacked up lifestyle issues. You work 15 hours a day. You come home. You have a cup of coffee. You read the paper. You go to bed. You're not sleeping. So you're chronically anxious. You're chronically jacked up. He's like, you got to start doing stuff. He's like, well, I don't have time. And the guy was like, well, when you guys have dinner at night, instead of sitting down to have dinner, he's like, take a lap around the kitchen table before you sit down to eat. Every time before you eat, whatever meal it is. And he's like, I did that for a while. And then he was like, I bumped up to 2 laps. And then he's like, I lost 10 pounds doing that. Yeah. Like, I lost 10 pounds walking around my table before every meal.
Yeah.
And then he's like, eventually I started feeling really good, and I would run to the end of the driveway and run back to the house, and then I would eat my meals. And then I would go for a run around the block, and then I would eat.
Exactly.
And then eventually he became a marathoner.
Yeah.
He's like, it was one of those things. Like, he understood that he's in the pharmacy business, so he understands where his life was going. Mm. He was going to be on the pills that he was giving out to people if he didn't change his lifestyle. He also knew, well, I got kids. You know, if I'm going to be around for my grandkids, maybe my grandkids, I have to do something. And it was painful. And he was like, there was times where I was embarrassed. Like, we'd have company over and I'd walk around before dinner. He's like, but at the end of the day, I realized it's my body. Yeah. It may be uncomfortable at first, but if I do it in a way that seems like I'm just pacing around, and then when I started running, he's like, okay, it's commendable. Yep. Okay, I'm going for a run.
Yep.
No one's upset about that.
Absolutely. And it's some people try it again. Their expectation is I have to do 45 minutes. Yeah. I have to go to the gym and do a whole hour. No, going to the gym and doing a 10-minute workout because that's all you have is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. And there's studies that show that high-intensity short workouts are good for your brain health, too. Mm-hmm. There's different benefits to doing long bouts and short bouts and mixing it up. So,
yeah. You could, we had to do these. I don't know if you guys had to do them down here. In high school, we had to do, like, the 1 mile runs, like, for physical fitness.
Yeah.
And, you always have that one person who could sail through a mile without even breaking a sweat. And they're doing a 6-minute mile.
Yeah.
But then you have other people that are, like, busting their butt because you got to get it, I think, in under 8 minutes, something like that. Yeah. And, like, these people are dying. It's an 8-minute mile, and they're dying. So when you think about that, that doesn't necessarily mean that, an 8-minute mile sucks. But if you can do a mile, and you can just run a mile, and you can dedicate not even 1 hour, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to do your 1 mile a day.
8 minutes isn't anything when you look at it like that.
Because think about it. Okay, so I do a little bit of stretching, do a little bit of a warm-up. It's 15 minutes. Let's just say I can run a 10-minute mile. And that's it. I do 2.5 minutes of warm-up. I do 2.5 minutes cool down. I run my 10-minute mile. 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to leave my house. I didn't have to go anywhere.
Nope.
But now I got outside. Yep. There was vitamin D. I got
so many benefits of that. And it's just so little, right? It's such a... Or, I did this one time. When I first became a trainer, I wanted to find... Because I was doing CrossFit as well. So you know how they have like in their WODs, it's like 0.25 distance run, right? Or 1 lap run, or 400 meters, I think is how they do it. So I was like, man, I got to find a lap. And I didn't want to run to the track and run because I was counting it there, right? Yeah. So I got in my truck, I reset my mileage, and I just kind of drove. And and I was watching it, and when I got to around the 0.25, I marked it. Or actually, when I got to 1.12, I marked it, and I said, okay, this is the mark, and I just kind of would run there and run back, and that was the lap. But people can do that. They even have things that you can, it's like a wheel,
walk them out,
right? The walk thing.
Well, now
I'm sure there's apps, too,
with
right?
your phone, it'll tell you everything.
That's
so
true.
You can
GPS,
actually you can use, I think it's Google Maps will allow you to just map out a map, a run.
I know you can do it on the desktop, like on the actual computer. You can.
I know. Well, Garmin, I think does.
Garmin does. I know Nike did when I had Nike's app. Which, exactly. You're right. You can find out what your distances are and work up from there and start small. Yeah,
it doesn't look like the Maps does it unless there's a spot that, like you said, on the desktop, you may be able to do it.
Yeah.
But
something too, Tony, that happens is, let's say somebody's on the meal plan and they finally have accepted the fact that you're right, I have to eat a certain amount of calories, and they're working towards that, and they hit it. But on the days they don't work out, back to that mentality because they missed their workout. They're like, maybe I shouldn't eat as much.
Oh yeah.
So what do you say to those people who, because they missed their workout for whatever reason, or it was just a scheduled rest day, and they say, oh, I ate 400 or 500 less calories, and they're already barely eating 100 more than what they're supposed to be. What would you say?
Well, when you do your workouts, so we're on our rest day, so I'm aware that we're on our rest day. When you do your workout, you cause damage to the body, you cause damage to the muscle, the tissue, and everything else. So when you repair it, it's kind of on your off day. That's where your recovery starts to happen. So if you're under eating, you don't have the tools to repair the body. So if you took in, let's say, 400 less calories, because my workout is normally 400 calories, well, where'd that come from? Was it 400 less calories from protein? Was it 400 less calories from carbs?
Sure,
was it 400 less calories from carbs, protein, and fat? Wherever it came from doesn't really matter. But you now don't have the energy to provide your body with the tools it needs to repair itself. If you're sore, if you have soreness in your body's still technically working out because of the fact that it has to repair the tissue. You need those calories coming in, and you're probably in a deficit anyhow. So when you think about how your body metabolizes things, think about the full week. So you don't run on a day-by-day average. You run on a weekly average. There's theory out there that you run on a bi-weekly average, which is where like those fasting mimicking diets can come in. But when you think about that, if your body is in a deficit and then you have one day that's controlled, it's high and low energy expenditure, and you had more calories come in than you technically needed, you're going to decrease the risk of binging. You're going to decrease the risk of falling off your meal plan because you intentionally gave your body food that was, yes, above what you needed, quote unquote, for the day. Yep. But you still need it.
But from a weekly scale, you needed it.
Mm-hmm.
But on a day, like if you looked at it from just the day perspective, you're like, oh, I should eat less.
Yeah.
But we know how the body works. It's more of a week, so they should stick to the meal plan.
Yeah.
Stick to because it's going to help you recover. It's going to help maintain the fat loss.
Yeah.
Or weight loss.
Logic and science basically have to take a backseat to your goal. Maybe I said it the wrong way. Your goals, whatever. I'll just explain it and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, there you go.
When you look at your goals, everyone's goal is I have to lose weight, add muscle, whatever else. When you think about breaking it down backwards, if you were a child or an athlete, you would never tell a kid, okay, don't eat because you haven't exercised today. No, they're walking around, they're moving, they're doing whatever else. Even if they haven't walked around. So like Ava, I know she went to school today, maybe she had phys ed today, I don't remember what day it is for her. But she's not going to walk in the house and I'm not going to go, hey, don't eat because you weren't active today. That's cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
If another parent heard me say that, they're calling CPS.
Yeah.
But it's okay for you to do that as an adult. Just skip that meal because you didn't work out today.
That's true.
Athletes, same thing. Well, Michael Phelps, we use him all the time. Was it not Hall? Was it Eddie Hall that you sent me? The powerlifter?
The world's strongest man? I want to say it was Eddie Hall.
So
I want to say it was Eddie Hall.
He's also eating, 12,000 calories a day. So they're both eating 12,000 calories on a different goal. But what ends up happening is because the amount of energy they're using when they're working out, they need it, they use it, they go back to it, and they're burning through all those calories. But we think of ourselves, even though we're in the gym maybe 2 hours a day, maybe 5 or 6 days a week, we fall in the umbrella of exercising enough
Brian
Shaw. To be athletes, but we treat ourselves like we're basically bedridden.
Yeah.
So if you were bedridden, you need to eat a ton less. But the second that you're exercising, you're creating oxygen debt, you're creating metabolic damage to your body, you're actually creating structural damage between your bones, tendons, ligaments, muscles. Everything that's damaged needs to get repaired.
Yeah.
If I, we had the hurricane last year down in Galveston. If I were to go into Galveston and be like, hey, I came to fix your buildings without equipment.
That's a great analogy.
People would look at you like you're nuts. Like, so where's the equipment? Oh, no, I'm here. But where's the equipment? No, I'm here.
No, I'm here.
So it's the same thing when you don't eat. I need to fix this muscle. I need to fix this bone. I need to fix this tissue.
Yeah.
With what?
With 80% of what I need. That's going to hinder what
Exactly.
you're looking for. I liked how you touched on bedridden and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people know how the technology started with what we do, the metabolic testing, but people they fall into a coma and they still have to eat, or else they become malnourished and they die, right? So they can't obviously say, hey, doc, I'm hungry, feed me. So they would put this mask on and check the oxygen, carbon dioxide, ins and outs, and then that would spit out the resting metabolism, or the basal metabolic rate, I think is what they call it. So we are still burning calories even when we are laying in bed all day, not awake, in a vegetative state, right? We're still burning X amount of calories. We're burning even more calories when you are sleeping, but then you wake up and go 12, 14-hour day, work, and deal with kids. You're still burning even more calories. Then you burn even more calories when you factor in exercise, right? What we want to make sure to do is cover the quota in the sense of cover the bedridden calories and then also the lifestyle calories, correct?
Yeah. And when you think about your calorie burn, where do you think, or well, actually, I'll ask this question two different ways. One, where do you think the average person thinks their calorie expenditure comes from, and where does their actual calorie expenditure come from?
Oh, they think that calorie expenditure only comes from movement. That's typically what I find is they're like, oh, I didn't burn any calories, I didn't exercise, or something to the movement is what burns calories, not sitting down, not talking as we are right now, not sleeping, not watching TV, right? And calorie burn actually comes from movement, just being alive, right? And then digesting our food, right? There's always that. So there's this, how many different things? There's like 5 things that all add up, right? Thermogenesis, and then the actual exercise, the bedridden calories, and then the so yeah, there's a big misconception there with where calories are even burning from, where they're coming from, where that comes from.
Because at most, I mean, if you think about the time that you have dedicated to working out, most people, in reality, yeah, maybe they have 2 full hours to dedicate. I think that's going to be on the high end. Most people are going to be somewhere around 45 minutes to an hour. But when you look at your metabolism from a 24-hour standpoint, you have a ton more energy being burned outside your workouts than inside your workouts. Yeah. And that's as I said, that's the biggest miss. It's, well, I didn't work out today. Well, you still did stuff. Like, just by existing, your metabolism is on.
Yeah.
If you think about your metabolism, yes, we should check it. It should be a lot easier to see what those numbers really are, and we can look at it. But if you took your body weight, you multiply it by 10, that'll give you an idea as to where your maintenance is.
Yeah.
We can test it from there, because obviously if you have more muscle mass, your metabolism will be higher. If you have higher stress levels, your metabolism could be higher. Or if you haven't been eating for ever in a day, your metabolism will be bottomed out.
Yeah.
That's where you get somebody who's 45, is that how old she is?
Yes, 45, 40 something, late 40s. Yeah.
With a metabolism of 800 calories. It's not normal. Your metabolism drops down 1% to 2% per decade.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, if this woman was 90 years old, her metabolism would be there.
Of a 90-year-old.
Yeah, she got the metabolism of a 90-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, from a fitness standpoint, she's not a 90-year-old, but because she doesn't eat, her body has literally shut down the need for food.
The metabolism is that.
Yeah. It just bottoms out on you.
Something else, too, is a lot of people think of the more they weigh, the slower metabolism they have, and vice versa, right? Could you touch on that and how that's a misconception or just it's flawed?
Yeah. So when you think about weight, when you think about tissue in the body, I don't care if it's fat weight or muscle weight or whatever, the more tissue that you have, the more energy it takes to maintain that tissue. So if that means that you're 300 pounds and you're 50% body fat, it's still going to cost you calories to maintain that fat. It doesn't necessarily mean that you want to maintain your fat, but you still need to maintain enough positive energy balance. Like Isaac said, if the bills aren't paid, stuff gets turned off. So we don't necessarily want you to pay a surplus to add more fat, but we want you to be able to take in enough so that your body can look at the fat and go, hey, let me get into this. The big example I give a lot of people is if it costs 9 calories to break down a gram of fat, if you look at your body and you're not giving it enough to allow it to access a fat cell, why would it ever start breaking it down?
Yeah.
Because it's going to cost me more energy to break that down. I can turn to sugar. I can turn to stored muscle glycogen or liver glucose or
Less
blood
energy.
glucose. Less energy to break it down.
Yeah.
And then when my blood sugar gets too low, I will crave food. So instead of going and breaking down a fat cell, I can trigger this body to want food by breaking down sugar, which is a lot easier. Easiest way to think about this, because we've all been there at least once, Isaac mentioned it, the morning after being, maybe having a drink or two too many, you can go with, I could get up and go make breakfast, Or I could go down the street to the taco place, or I could go to IHOP, or I could go to gyms or any of those places and get breakfast. Well, if you make breakfast, you have limited choices. Maybe you have eggs, maybe you have bacon, maybe you have a bowl of cereal. But if you go into IHOP or any of those other places, you have any food that you want, and it's easy
And
because you don't have
it's
to cook
made
anything.
for you. It's brought to you. The presentation. Yeah.
And that's that instant energy. That made to you, brought to you is instant versus
Yeah.
going in the kitchen making your own food.
Yeah.
So if your body doesn't have enough energy, it's not going to make its own food. It's going to ask you to make it, like ask you to go out somewhere and get the food.
That's perfect.
So
Something another thing I say is people obviously associate like burning calories with the workouts. So if I tell them, I'm like, look behind you, and let's say you did a workout on the treadmill, and then the next week, that same exact workout, you did it, but I gave you 20-pound vest or dumbbells or something to carry while you did that. Would you burn more calories or less calories? And they always say more calories. I'm like, okay, now, with you weighing 20 pounds more than what you want to weigh, do you think you're burning more calories now than you will be when you're weighing what you want to weigh? And they're like, oh, it's like, it's exactly true.
Yeah.
So we don't want a fast metabolism. And as people lose weight, I'll tell them your metabolism will actually go down into a more efficient one where you don't have to eat 2,000 calories if it's that fast. And you're eating more something reasonable like 16, 15. Or like for us, reasonable is 18, 19, 2,000, depending on what your maintenance is, right? What that breakdown comes down to. You mentioned the little secret of getting your body weight multiplying by 10, right? That's basically what I do. I just add a 0 to our body weight, and that's what the metabolism is usually ish, right? So it's a good guess. So if you guys are listening, if you do that, get your body weight, times it by 10, whatever that number is, that's basically what you should be eating. If you're not, then that's probably why we're not losing weight. We're plateaued, or we're tired, or things aren't working, basically.
yeah. And that's an easy way to figure out too. If you've been chronically undereating, so let's say you don't know how much you've been eating. If you've been undereating and you have, let's just say, 1,500 calories that you're supposed to take in, and you get to 900 calories and you feel completely stuffed, you've probably been undereating for a while. So don't go to 1,500.
Yeah.
Work your way up.
Work your way up slowly.
On the flip side, if you get to 1,500 and you're ravenous, you've probably been way overeating, and we need to work on bringing that down. So you have to keep eating until the hunger abates, and then your metabolism will slow. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to slow. It's just where you are right now. If you start starving yourself, your body will do dumb things to get the food in.
Yeah, that's true. Survival is the most important thing.
That's the only thing.
So if exactly, that's the only thing. Body does not care about losing weight, looking pretty. It's just making it through, making more of us.
Yeah. So yeah.
So in short, make sure we can check your metabolism here. Make sure you're eating your quota, right? Covering the calories that you should be, and then you would probably start to see some fat loss and muscle gains or muscle maintenance. That way, your body doesn't use it as fuel.
Yeah. Other big things too. If you feel like you don't have enough time, find 4 minutes. Do a Tabata drill. You can Google what that is. Or do something as simple as before I, eat breakfast, I do a couple squats, maybe I do a couple push-ups or sit-ups, get the blood flowing, and you'll see a positive change over time.
Chip away, and then eventually you can get into those bigger workouts.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is Isaac.
This is Anthony.
See you next time.
Yep, thanks for listening, not watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking us out. If you like this, go ahead, like it, share it, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram.